Good evening. Oh, it's been a while. I don't even remember when was my last time here. um, so tonight we're going to be talking about compassion, and it's a message from the book Our Daily Bread from Franciscan Xavier by the spiritual Emmanuel. And all the message from this book always starts with a passage from the New Testament. And this is from Paul. And it says, by compassion with contentment is great gain. And by does this work? Hopefully, by the end of our lecture, we'll see the connection of this passage with what Emmanuel, what we're going to discuss and learn tonight. So the agenda, we're going to be looking at the definition of the word compassion, understanding compassion according to the gospel, according to the Spiritism. We're going to discuss we're going to understand a little bit more about the Emmanuel's message. I'm going to talk about research that I found about compassion, and there are a question from the Spiritist book, and then the conclusion. So, what is compassion? According to the dictionary, compassion is sympathetic consciousness of others' distress, together with the desire to alleviate. So we're not only sympathize with the suffering of others, but we have the desire to go and help. So this word is from the late Latin, compassio, from compati, which means to sympathize, com plus pati, to suffer with someone or something. Burning. Okay. What do I do here? Sorry. So compassion, deeply felt, is love. Love is devotion. Devotion is forgetting oneself. And well, when I think about forgetting oneself, I put the picture of a firefighter because, to me, when first of all, most of the not most, but a lot of the firefighters in the United States are volunteers. There are some that really work for the city, but a lot of them volunteer their time to go and help save lives. And to me, someone to go inside a burning house to save a life of someone, definitely is putting, it's forgetting about himself. At that moment, he cannot be thinking of himself, otherwise he would not go inside, right? And so that, to me, demonstrate what forgetting ourselves to help someone. And I don't think anyone without compassion could be doing this type of work. And the other picture is, of course, Mother Teresa, and that's another person that she always put others before her with all the help she did. And So that those are the two pictures that I chose to represent compassion. And this quote from Dalai Lama: if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. So, it's clear here that if we practice compassion, we're not always making somebody else happy. We make ourselves happy. A sentiment of compassion must always animate the hearts of those who gather under the Lord's sight to implore the assistance of good spirits. And this is in the Gospel according to the Spiritist, chapter 17. So what it's saying here, that the sentiment of compassion is that it's when we see someone suffering and immediately we elevate our thoughts. We connect with the higher, spirits, and we ask for them to help, right? So many times we cannot do anything in many situations. We cannot do or relieve somebody's pain, but we can always pray. We can always connect with the good spirits and ask for assistance. So today I pray for every person that secretly lives in pain. That's so easy. We could do that every day, all the time. It doesn't cost anything, right? Compassion is the virtue that brings you closer to the angels. It's the sister of charity, which leads you to God. And this picture is about the Good Samaritan when he helps the guy that is on the road and takes him to a shelter. So compassion is the sister of charity. When we feel compassion to others, we are practicing, we are doing charity. We can do charity without being compassionate also. When we do charity with other interests, not coming from the heart. But when we're doing the true charity because we care, because we want to help someone, we are being compassionate. But what is Emmanuel calling our attention in this message that Marisa read? So he starts saying, much is spoken on earth about compassion. However, when we refer to this virtue, it is difficult for us to discern between compassion and humiliation. Look what he's doing right there. He's pulling our ear and he's calling our attention to show us that we still don't know how to practice compassion the true way. He says that we help, but we help, but not from the heart, not the way we really, really should do. And at first you say, I'm I practice compassion. When I see someone, I feel their pain. I feel like I want to help. But let's pay attention on the things that he says in this message. Why this? Truly, in general, we only encounter on earth that compassion of soft voice and thorny hands. So, unfortunately, we, still in the stage that we help, but at the same time, we criticize, we judge, and he gives us a lot of examples. He says, I help, but that individual is giving to vice. So, this person needs help. Oh, I'm willing to help, but this person has so many vices. This person, it's always doing wrong. And what's wrong with this person? So what am I doing? I'm helping. I'm being compassionate. But on the other hand, my hand is what? Full of thorns that hurt, right? Because we don't know how to help others and accept why that person is in that situation. Yeah, that person, might be full of vices, but how about me? Am I a perfect person? I don't have any, vice. So, he keeps saying, I will assist, but this woman is ignorant and evil. Oh yeah, I will help you, but wow, you're so bad. Why you're bad to others? And we forget that everyone is in one stage. Everyone is in different understanding. Now it doesn't go. So it extends open arms and collects on debts or recognition. That's another thing that we do a lot. No? We extend our arms. Oh, you need a hug. I'll give you a hug. But, I need a hug and you are not able to give me a hug. Why is that? I helped. Didn't I help you? Why, when I needed help, you didn't help me? So, that's what we do. We help people, but we expect recognition. We expect that they will help us when we need. And we shouldn't. That's how you think, oh, one hand washes the other, right? That's how we always say. But we shouldn't think like that. When we help someone, we should help expecting nothing in return, because that person might not be able to help us. And the other thing is, we should not put our expectations on the other person. I should not assume that the other person is going to act and behave the same way I do, or but and the other thing is we expect recognition. Oh, I helped someone, but she didn't even say thank you, or she didn't even give me a phone call. Why? Why? Was it that hard to get a phone and say thank you? But why do I need thank you? Why? Didn't I do it from my heart? Didn't I do it because I want to alleviate that pain or help or listen or whatever that person was needing at that time? If I did it from the heart, why do I need the thank you? Maybe that person is not, doesn't know how to do it, or maybe it hurts for that person to say thank you. Maybe she feels humiliated because she needed, and she's in a position that it's hard. We don't know, but again, we're judging, right? So we're always judging. Mhm. So he keeps giving lots of examples. Um, we rescue, and but we beat, like we beats. Um, Protects, but does not stimulate. Sometimes we want to protect someone, but sometimes we do it in a way that um, we do not give an opportunity for that person to grow. So protection sometimes is not that good. You know, we can protect someone from being hurt, but we should not um, block that person to grow. And sometimes when sometimes the person needs to suffer. There's a story of the butterfly, right? This I just remember the how do you call the cocoon? So the girl saw the cocoon on the ground, and she thought, oh, maybe I can help the butterfly to get out. And she went and she opened the cocoon, and the butterfly came out. But what happened? The wing was, the butterfly could not fly because the wing was not strong enough to fly, because it was not the right time to come out. So, you know, the intention was good. She was trying to protect, but it was not. Sometimes the butterfly needed to go to the process of getting out and the suffering of getting out, because that what made that what makes the butterfly's wings strong. It offers kind words, yet thrusts hostile retorts. So how many times we turn to a person here and we use soft words and we're kind, and at the same moment we turn to this person and we start yelling and, oh, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. So how can we be compassion here to this person, and at the same time we just, you know, start yelling and being rude? So that's what we do. We judge, and judgment is the opposite of compassion. And I thought this was the perfect picture to show what we do. We're always pointing fingers, and we, you know, I help you when you, you know, when I needed, you didn't help me back, or, oh, I help you, but you never say thank you, or I'm gonna help you, but I know you never change. You're always gonna be in the same situation. So we're always judging, and that's what Emmanuel is telling us. So the true compassion, however, is the legitimate daughter of love. Legitimate. I practiced with Leandro. It didn't work. It didn't work.
You gotta fire Leandro.
Yeah, I practiced and practiced. It didn't work. So compassion is love in action. And in the Spiritist book, the question 888. What is it? So Kardec asked the spirits, what should we think of making donation or giving to charity? And it's a very interesting answer. It says, to be reduced to begging degrades people, both morally and physically. It wears them down. In a society based on divine law and justice, a provision should be made by assisting the weak without humiliating them. And then Kardec goes a little further. He says, are you criticizing the practice of giving alms? I didn't know what alms means. It's giving smaller. What is another word for smaller? Change. Giving money to others. So the answer is no. Giving money to the poor is not what is reprehensible. The problem is the way in which it is too often done. Those who understand charity as preached by Jesus seek out the needy themselves without waiting for them to hold out their hands. So, the ones who understand charity as preached by Jesus seek out the needy themselves without waiting for them to hold out their hands. And it continues. True charity is always gentle and compassionate, because the manner of practicing kindness is as important as the deed itself. Remember that ostentation and pretension destroy the merit of generosity in God's eyes. Jesus said, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. This teaches that charity should not be tarnished by pride. Pride, what a word. Who doesn't have pride, right? So there's another part here that it says, many who are truly poor are kept back from begging by dread of humiliation and preferring to suffer silently in secret. Those who are truly humane seeks out this hidden misery and relieves it without any form of pretension. So what it's saying here, that it's already so hard for someone to get to the point to beg, right? And for us to go and toss a coin is very easy, right? I can just get some coins and toss it. And that's what it says. It's not a matter of giving the money. It's how we do it. And most of the time when we help people, we put ourselves above them. There's a story there's a passage at the gospel where the lady used to go help others, and she was a wealthy lady, but every time she would help the needy, she would dress, she would put her worst clothes. And why? So she wouldn't, you know, make them feel that she was better than them. You know, so so it's already very hard, and it's very easy for us to or it's very easy for them to feel humiliated, but it's our job to figure out a way to do it in a manner that they will feel loved and they will feel cared, right? So when I was doing this, when I was doing the search for my for this lecture, you know, I always like to look for other things. So I go online and I check other religions, and I just see, just to compare and to see what's out there, and I look for studies, and I found this study, and the question is it possible to train our brain to feel more compassion? So scientific evidence shows that we can teach our brain to feel more compassion, both for others and ourselves. Imagine how the world might be different if we all learned this skill. And this is a paper by Ellen Wang. It's a study done at the University of Wisconsin Medicine Center for Investigating Health Minds, and it was directed by Dr. Richard J. Davison. And it's very, very interesting, because what they say is that this study was done, first of all, we can train our brain like we train our muscles. And they describe here that the way they did was like, it's an exercise, and it was done by, how can I explain? So, to practice compassion by the ones we loved, and increasing. So let's say, you know, I love my family, so I will start practicing compassion at my house and for the ones that I love the most. And then I start working compassion for the ones that I have, you know, problems, the ones that are difficult, and kind of going until we practice with our enemies. And it's very interesting the way they did. So they said it's kind of like when we work with weights, right? We can't start working our muscles with the heaviest one, right? We need to start with the light one and increase. And that's how this study was done. Increasing the feeling from love to dislike to hate. And so she describes how the study was done, and there were like more than 10,000 hours of practice during the study, right? So it's a meditation exercise, and it's done online. So they show pictures of suffering people, and or crying people, in all different situations, and then you. So I'm gonna read this little part. So it says, in the 30 minutes guided compassion meditation, participants practice compassion for themselves, a loved one, a stranger, and a difficult person in their lives. Participants were told to observe the thoughts and feelings that arise as they imagine a time that each person has suffered. The goal is to give participants practice at tolerating their reactions rather than avoiding them or getting too wrapped up in them. The next part involves actively wishing others compassion or wishing their suffering is relieved. Participants repeated phrases such as, "May you feel free from suffering," may you have joy and ease." They were instructed to pay attention to sensations in the body, particularly around the heart, and this is called interoception. And so it keeps describing how the study was done, and then it says, importantly, this difference in altruistic behavior were also linked to physical changes in the brain. So what they did was they did MRI to the participants before and after the practice, and they saw a physical change in the brain. It was not just the emotional, but also physical. And so I thought it was very, very interesting. And they have this study online, and they offer the training for free. Everyone can download the training, and repeating the phrase they learned, such as may. So, anyway, the conclusion that they got was that yes, it is possible to train our brain to feel more compassion. And then I was thinking, but why is it easy? Why is it possible to train our brain to feel something, a virtual feeling like that? It's because the little seed is already inside, right? When God created us, God gave us that little seed, and we have the potential to develop those good virtues. It's in there. We just have to practice, and so those are the phrases that they did. May you feel free from suffering. May you have joy and ease. This person will make a full recovery from the injury. So, isn't this similar to a prayer? If we connect with the good spirits, like Emmanuel, like the gospel says, and if we think of those words, those phrases, if we repeat those phrases, and if we connect with our feelings, what are we doing? We're practicing compassion, and we are helping others just by doing that. So how? Practice, 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 and practice. Like those words that I cannot pronounce. So Emmanuel concluded by saying, the gospel does not refer to that false pity, full of illusion and demands. He who reveals the sufficient energy to embrace a Christian life finds resources to assist happily. He does not become tied down to destructive criticism and knows how to plant goodwill, fortify the seeds, cultivate the sprouts, and await the production. So, if we wanna embrace the Christian life, what do we have to do? It's easy to come here and say, oh, I go to the Centro Espírita, or I go to church, or I go to whatever, but are we really embracing the Christian life? And if we do, we find a resource to assist happily. We will do it. We will learn to do it without criticism. And, the more we do it, it knows how to plant. If we learn how to plant goodwill, fortify the seeds, cultivate the sprout, what we're going to collect later on. And that's why, in the beginning, remember that passage from the New Testament? Paul says, but compassion with contentment is great gain for the soul, and truly we know of no other that could bring more prosperity to the heart. So when we do it, when we help someone, we should help with happiness. We should help with a good feeling. It's not like, I gotta go to city gym Sunday. Is that how we do it? But sometimes we, decide to do a volunteer work just to alleviate our conscience. It's just like, I'm a Christian, I need to volunteer, I need to do something to help others. But then we go, I don't want to go. What am I doing here? So that's what Paul says. Do it, with contentment. And who gains? We gain. So the heart is like a garden. It can grow compassion or fear, resentment or love. And then the question, what seeds will we plant there? What seeds we want to plant in our heart? And are we capable to learn the true compassion that Emmanuel says? Yes, we can. And that's what we're here for. And so I hope we can do it. And I hope we all learn to, learn that compassion, charity, and love, it's one thing. Compassion and charity is love in action. And I wish everyone a good week. And thank you. So we're going to have the Passi.